On this channel, you have seen me mention many things for retirement, and today we'll touch on this topic. 8 things that happy retirees do, because I'm sure you want to be happy in your retirement also. I've collated the best 8 points to share with you, and without further ado, let's dive on to things. Hi guys, welcome back. Without further ado, let's start on the first point, which is have more pursuits in retirement. A happy retirement is not only about the money part. Yes, you do need to have sufficient so you're not worried, which I'll touch on later few points. Retiring from work doesn't mean that you retire from life. Now, sometimes you hear about retirees playing golf every day, but actually if you imagine that situation, you kind of get bored, correct? You need goals, you need pressure, you need something to make you feel excited about each day. And that's why having a lot of pursuits is definitely a right way to go. According to this author of this book, you can retire sooner than you think. He's mentioned that the happiest retired folks have an average of 3.6 core pursuits. On the other hand, self-identified unhappy retirees report only 1.9 of such activities. So if we draw on that finding, we kind of understand you should pursue things that keep you happy, because if you're bored and at home watching TV the whole day, you're actually not going to enjoy retirement that much. And this is actually a very important clip from CPF, and this guy's dream was to pursue higher education, and to me that is crazy. And to explain things, it's because in my generation higher education is almost a given, but later you understand that his generation, education is a privilege and he missed out on it. It was something that he wanted to pursue. And take a guess on how old he is.
I have gotten a diploma, an MBA, and now I am pursuing a PhD. For me, learning is like exercise for your mind. It's not just about the books.
I think what he's mentioned is very true. Retirement is a time to learn. Maybe you're like me, you don't want to pursue an MBA or a PhD, but there are definitely things that you should learn to keep yourself excited every day. And this also relates to point number 2. The second thing that happy retirees do is to have some form of work. According to a Merrill Lynch June 2014 research, they found that 7 in 10 pre-retirees say they want to work in retirement. These people would like to be engaged in some work or another, but they want to do it on their own terms. I think this is a good finding, and it resonates very closely to a concept I promote here regularly, which is semi-retirement. Which means you don't want to be dissociated from workforce totally, because work can actually be still quite fun. Certain sectors are more receptive to older workers, and I know someone personally that works with National Library, and that is his part-time retirement job, and he's very happy doing it. But if a simple job like a librarian does not interest you, then maybe find jobs that are closer related to your hobby. If you're interested in golfing, if you're interested in fishing, and you can find a part-time job in that space, I think it's very nice and it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You can also be an animal lover and volunteer your work in animal organizations, or you can volunteer with religious organizations. There are so many things to do, but it draws back to the bottom line. Have some form of work. The third thing that happy retirees do is to have more social interaction. And this is without saying one of the main reasons why point number 2, having some form of work, is very important. Now back to the point of social interaction, hobbies and activities can keep retirees fulfilled and engaged. And studies have shown that social isolation leads to higher rates of heart disease and stroke, and even dementia. And maybe that explains why many retirees are reluctant to move houses. Because when you stay in a place, you know your neighbors well. You know the uncle, auntie in the opposite shop over, and you are very happy buying with them. They became like your friends already. So understand that perspective when you plan your own retirement. The fourth thing that happy retirees do is to keep a schedule. Now in your work, I guess you have a Google Calendar that fills up, what meetings you have to attend today, or whether you have to bring your kid to the playground or to the zoo itself. A schedule is normal in your pre-retirement years and is also important in your retirement phase. Why so? According to this Taiwanese study, a happy retirement isn't how much free time you have. It's how you manage whatever free time you have. Manage. The authors did not recommend blocking out every minute of the day, but instead advise setting goals and priorities for your free time, and then evaluating whether they are appropriate and achievable. They also mentioned that if you organize your activities on a daily or weekly basis, this kind of schedule prevents you from getting bored, depressed, or lonely. The authors have also discovered that retirees with more free time weren't happier than ones with less on their schedule, and the telling factor was the way retirees used their idle hours. The key concept is, if you manage your own time well, you have a better quality of life, even in retirement. And a better quality of life definitely relates to being happy. The fifth thing to do is to be debt-free. Having debts and loans to pay off is easy to do when you have a full-time work. But when you're a retiree, your sources of income start to dry up. And that could be where further pressure comes in. And if we look where are the main sources of debt, I can actually show you something that is a report by Credit Bureau Singapore. The number of Singaporeans aged 65 and above that are still servicing outstanding mortgage loans are numbering more than 15,000. This is a figure that is triple that of 2008. And if we fast forward to today, 2021, 2022, that number is definitely going to be way bigger than that. And it's no wonder why people are anxious about CPF rule changes, because they're really waiting for that money to come in from CPF. If it's deferred to 67, then it's having 2 years more to draw from your bank account just to pay away mortgage. That is why on this channel I've frequently suggested, plan your retirement properly and aim to finish your mortgage by age 55 or 60. And even if interest rates are very low, the psychology part of not having that stress of paying a mortgage loan or any debt is sometimes more important than the increment rate of return you can get borrowing and then investing it. In the retirement phase also, you cannot assume that you can manage your finances like how you have been doing during your working years. The sixth thing to do is to exercise frequently. Work gives you some activity, but exercise is the real king of keeping you healthy. Now, I've seen before on video clips of elderly joining cycling groups, and I can share also from my own badminton circle. I have one that is a retiree at age 60 plus that's still playing occasionally with us. I have one that is doing only part-time, late 50s. I have one that is 60 plus and owns his own shop. So within my own circle, I can also see elderly men playing badminton, and they're pretty good also. So exercise in any form is definitely useful. And people always say, I'm afraid of running out of money in retirement. But actually most people don't do so unless there's a big family issue or there's a big health issue. And this is going to be a big drain in terms of their retirement wealth. So the only thing that you can control is your own health. And that's why I need to reinforce this point of exercising frequently.
To wake up every morning feeling like the day is full of possibilities.
Yes, wake up every day to feel that the world is full of possibilities. The seventh thing to do to stay happy as a retiree is to stay optimistic. And within this, there are actually 3 sub-points which I would like to share with you today. The first way of staying optimistic is to always find pleasure in the small things. You may have a pet, like a dog, and you enjoy bringing your dog every day to the park, and you can feel the love that your pet is receiving from you as well as giving you back. Or you can actually find pleasure in helping people in any form, big or small. The second method to stay optimistic is to practice gratitude. These days are actually gratitude journals, whereby you can write down what has actually happened good in that day itself, who has been kind to you and who you have been kind to. And last but not least is to always practice self-compassion, which is to have the right dialogue with yourself, especially in the older years whereby you realize that your mental and physical abilities are not the same as before. But this decline is natural and is seen by each and every person as we all age. And always keep in mind, life is full of possibilities. The 8th way to stay happy as a retiree is to always keep a budget. In retirement years, you could be spending a little bit more on concerts, travel, fine dining. But at the end of the day, if you feel yourself running out of money, that's where stress starts to come in. So when you keep a budget, you can keep some of those financial fears at bay. And you can spend very happily whatever you have budgeted for this month. You can buy an extra toy for your grandchildren. You can buy an extra treat for your pet dog. As long as all this are within the budget, feel free to spend it. You've earned the right to do so, and you can't bring money away when you leave this world. And with that, let me do a quick roundup. These are the 8 points that I mentioned today. The first is actually to have more pursuits. The second is to have some form of work. The third is to always keep a lot of social interaction. The fourth is to keep a schedule. The fifth is to be debt free. The sixth is to exercise frequently. The seventh is to stay optimistic, and last but not least is to keep a budget. So if you agree, smash the like button and smash on the subscribe, because in subsequent weeks I'll be sharing a bit more on how you can actually plan your retirement budgets using a few new rules that have been surfacing in the market, such as the 4% rule as well as the dynamic withdrawal rule. So if you're keen to find out, subscribe and stay tuned when it's released. With that, I'll sign off from here. Take care and goodbye.